Yes, I did. Yes, indeed. And in fact, I presented him with his first gold star from the British Racing Drivers Club for his outstanding achievement of winning the Indy 500 for the first time. A wonderful young British driver.
What do we think about this sort of racing in the US? I didn't realise that those cars just go so much quicker than Formula One vehicles.
Yes, well, the racetracks are generally oval, so they do road racing as well at a much slower rate than a Formula One car would. But in the high-speed ovals with banking on them, the speeds are incredible. Their average speed around this racetrack in Las Vegas apparently was around 225 miles an hour. And when an accident happens at that speed, it's more in liking to an aircraft accident rather than a racing car accident.
Safety measures, are they comparable with what we've seen in Formula One?
Well, the skills of the racing drivers that they have over there is very high indeed. I mean, there's been a long list of very successful racing drivers who have gone to America to race. I mean, Emerson Fittipaldi, Nigel Mansell has gone over there and done very well. And really a bunch of drivers who were brought up within British motorsport, like Gilles de Ferran and Castro Neves, the Brazilian. Both of them, Brazilians, came from British motorsport and went on to be champions in America. And Dario Franchitti now, a young Scot who's won the Indy 500 twice also, came through the formative classes of the sport in the UK. Britain's bred most of the really good racing drivers that have been heading up American motorsport in single-seaters.
Did you make a conscious decision not to go?
I raced at Indianapolis a couple of times, and I was always somewhat fearful for it. At Indianapolis, there are 33 cars start the race, but it's a 2.5-mile oval. The race in Las Vegas yesterday was a 1.5-mile oval, and there were 34 cars in the field. I think that was too many for such a short track with an average speed of more than 220 miles an hour. That meant there was too many cars locked up together. Getting through that traffic for a driver like Dan Wheldon, for example, which he was surely wanting to do, was a very precarious business. And when it comes to that, I think probably too many cars on too short a circuit. And I may add to that that not all of the drivers in that race yesterday are regular drivers at that sort of speed in those sort of cars. This is something in Formula One, for example, that's much more harshly dealt with. And you have to have a very special license, a super license, to even drive in Formula One, but you have to be doing it on a regular basis.
How do you think IndyCar racing could be made safer?
Well, they have done a lot for safety in IndyCar racing. The walls that used to be concrete are now deformable structures built in front of the concrete wall, so that when a car does collide with them, that there is some deflection and some crushability to remove all of the impact that in past years always goes back to the driver. But I think speed is the biggest enemy in this case. Once you get well over 200 miles an hour, really the trouble is containing the accident even within the racetrack. And they have bigger and higher debris fences than we have, for example, in Formula One, because they're just going that much faster. And really, I think they have to maybe take a look at themselves and say that, do we really need to travel at those speeds? I mean, if all the cars are doing the same speed, frankly, you wouldn't be able to tell much of a difference between, say, 220 miles an hour and 175 or 180 miles an hour, which is still, of course, very fast.
Do you think there will be changes in IndyCar racing now? It was the last race of the season, I think, wasn't it? So they do have some time to contemplate their options.
Well, I think the shock of yesterday's accident has really gone right through America and right through the world of sport. It's been such a long time. I mean, for example, in Formula One, we haven't lost a Grand Prix racing driver for 17 years, 6 months, and something like 13 days. So everybody's sort of immune to it, and the shock of a death of that kind has certainly rocked the establishment. I would suggest that the American governing body will be looking at it very carefully, and I think so also will the governing body of World Motorsport, to be suggesting that certain tracks of certain length should only have a certain number of cars driving. And I wouldn't be at all surprised if there is a suggestion to lower the speeds.
Okay, so Jackie, thank you very much indeed for joining us here on Sky News this afternoon. Thank you.